When words fall short, when hope feels thin, listen close, let music begin.
Hi, everybody. It's Cindy, and I have the honor to introduce to you an amazing woman speaker. Her name is Archana Shrestha, and she is a doctor. Hello. How are
Hi.
you?
Hi, Cindy. I'm doing well. Thanks so much for having me on.
Okay, so the Thrival Code. You have a book in play right now that's going to be published in August and available. Tell us about the Thrival Code. What do you speak on?
Yeah, so the Thrival Code is my talk as well as the book that I'm writing, and it is all about how to recover from burnout, escape survival mode, and truly thrive in your life and career. And this talk and this book really is for high performers in any industry. I'm a physician, an emergency physician by training, and I've gone through burnout and along the way, multiple rounds of burnout, let me say. And
Oh,
along
wow.
the way, I learned some things as to what it really takes to get out of burnout. And in this talk and in this book, I share that it's not a personal failing to be in burnout, but it's just that there's certain skills that most of us never learn anywhere along the way that not only help us get out of burnout, but stay out of it for the long run.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So give us an example of what it's like to be an ER doctor, for instance. Especially, I think we talked a little bit about maybe an accident happens and all of a sudden you get all these patients that show up. Tell us
Yeah.
what happens typically when there's some kind of emergency.
Yeah. I
What
mean,
happens there?
yeah, working in the ER, you're trained to handle all sorts of emergencies, bad car accidents. It could be a mass casualty event like a shooting. It could be a terrorism attack. We are trained to handle all of those things. Of course, those things are few and far between and don't happen very often. But every day we're seeing patients who are having heart attacks, who are having strokes, who have surgical things that are going on, like maybe a ruptured appendix. And so it's a very busy environment, high stress, high stakes. Nobody ever wants to make a mistake or miss anything. We're
Right.
always there to do our best and serve our patients to the best of our abilities. And, it's a 24/7 job. The ER never gets to put up a closed sign. So patients
Yes.
are always coming in. And as a physician, we work a lot of different shifts, evenings, holidays, weekends. So it's
Oh,
a
wow.
24-hour type of thing that you're working all these different shifts. But not only that, I was able to handle it quite well until I became a mom. And when I added on that responsibility on top of the baseline professional stress that I had, and added on the additional stress of everything that goes along with being a parent, coming home to what I call the second shift of taking care of children, taking care of the house, preparing meals, taking kids to soccer games and activities and to their doctor's appointments. That was when things really started to fall apart for me and sort of the wheels fell off. And I started to feel what I call double burnout, what I describe as double burnout, which is when you're feeling both professional and parental burnout at the same time.
Oh, wow. And boy, does this speak to women. Does this speak to women? Good for you. Good for you because I know even just stay-at-home moms get burned out with their kids.
Yeah.
And being an ER doctor on top of that, oh my gosh. Oh, so tell us somebody maybe in your profession that you actually were able to coach through burnout or somebody that you've actually helped.
Yeah, I've helped a lot of high performers, many of whom are in healthcare, but I've also helped people in other industries as well overcome burnout. And what it really comes down to is, of course, we want to try to improve our So basically what it comes down to is 3 skills. And what I teach is like the body, heart, and mind framework, that burnout really is due to 3 types of exhaustion: physical, mental, and emotional exhaustion. And it's just like a 3-legged stool. If we fail to address any one of those, we fall back into burnout. And so we have to address our physical exhaustion. And I like to call that skill of doing that self-stewardship. And this is where we are prioritizing our own physical well-being instead of constantly self-sacrificing ourselves. And I'm talking about some really basic things like sleep, nutrition, getting outdoors, moving our bodies, connecting with our loved ones. The second skill has to do with our heart and learning how to process difficult emotions, because we're under stress. We're feeling the stress of work as well as home. A lot of difficult emotions are coming up. And as for me, I know many high performers, like, we tend not to really know how to process those emotions. Instead, we stuff them down. And those can manifest in other ways. Sometimes we develop medical problems or chronic pain, or we start turning to food, wine, alcohol, Netflix, something to kind of numb away those emotions. And so that can cause another problem, a net negative for us if we don't address that. The third piece is our mind and what we're doing for that. And I teach a skill that I call thinking on purpose. Other people call this thought work, or really examining our thinking and really understanding, how are we talking to ourselves? What are the thoughts that we have that are helpful and some that aren't helpful? And so this is the process that I teach to my clients, and I have seen miraculous things happen. I've seen them wanting to quit their jobs or go part-time, about to send that resignation letter, but then after doing this work, they're excited about work again. They're energized by it. They've reconnected with the purpose and the mission and their why of choosing that field in the first place. Not only that, they are showing up better at work. They're showing up the way that they want to show up at home as well. And many times they also stop stress eating or over drinking, or all these other things that can cause some net negatives for us. So I've seen it save careers, save lives, save marriages, and also save the next generation, because truly, if we are experiencing burnout, it's likely something that's showing up at home and in our interactions with the most important people in our lives, our loved ones, our partners, our spouses, and our kids. And so we want to make sure that we're showing up the best way possible for them, so that we can role model how we hope that they will show up as well.
I love this, especially the part about the heart. I love how you connected emotion with the heart, because really that is our core, is the heart. And so when you think of it, and women know that. Women actually, what I've learned with women speakers especially, is they speak from the heart. Men a lot of times are talking about success or how much money you can make and that kind of thing. But women really speak with emotion and from the heart. So I'm loving what you're doing here. This is really, really good, because, oh my gosh, just a solution for burnout. And it goes so many different ways, because typically the men in our lives, or the husbands, aren't really worried about if the laundry's done or I mean, unless you get a real good one, or that the house is clean and the laundry's done and the cooking's done. My husband cooks, which I'm very fortunate about that, but so we cook, both of us do, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely.
A lot of it falls on the woman.
And what's interesting about that is more and more women are the primary breadwinners for their family. And I saw a statistic recently that 45% of women, working mothers, are the primary breadwinner for their family. So they're not only the breadwinners, but they're also making dinner. And,
Yes.
I kind of think if they're making money, maybe they shouldn't have to make dinner as well.
Oh, yeah.
At least not every night.
Yes, no, exactly. I love what you're doing. This is great. So, I'm all about music, and I like to ask people when I do a podcast with them, is there a song in particular that when you hear it, you pause, or it makes you smile?
Yeah. I hope other people haven't said this one already, but it's Happy by Pharrell Williams.
Yes. Yeah,
That
you
one is
can't help
phenomenal.
but smile. And
Yeah.
and I can't help but move and smile at the same time
Yeah,
because
exactly.
if you're sitting in your car, you just find yourself that you're moving it and doing that all at the same time. This is
Yes.
great. So, do you have any final words from women who would say, well, first of all, we need to talk about your book. So, everybody, and I will make sure that this goes in the information here for you. But something just off the top of your head that you want to
Yeah.
say to women with burnout.
Yeah. So the thing that I want to say is that, taking care of yourself is not selfish. Self-care is not selfish. But that's why I like to change the conversation around it and stop using this word self-care. I find it a bit like misunderstood. And that people associate it with things like bubble baths and massages and
Oh,
manicures, pedicures, which is all wonderful stuff. I
right.
want people to do that if they have time and budget for it. But what I'm talking about and why I like to shift the language is to talk about it as self-stewardship. That self-stewardship is our physiologic needs for sleep, for healthy nutrition, for water, for getting outdoors and sunlight, connection, all of those things. And that what I've seen is high performers tend to let go of that stuff first, the most important physiologic needs. But it's critical that we still do those things and we fill our cup so much so that we can give from the overflow. And instead of depleting ourselves, but really fill ourselves up, that there's, that we're overflowing with energy. And to me, that's a true way of giving.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. And what is the name of your website?
Yeah, people can learn more by going to thrivalcode.com, and it's spelled
Okay.
Thrival, THRIVAL, code, CODE.com.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much. It
Oh,
was a great time.
okay, good. Good, good.